It's all good.
All right, here we go. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Sharp Talk podcast. And actually, this is episode 41. Can you believe we've done 41?
Wow.
I can't believe it.
Crazy. I'm Tom, aka Tom Hosting Outdoors on YouTube and Instagram. I'm joined today by my normal co-host Alex, who has a new YouTube channel. God, I can't remember it.
Just a new name, man.
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Channel.
The Knife Box channel. Thank you. I couldn't remember. I got my little note card here in front of me with everybody's social media stuff, and I didn't have it written down.
Yep, I just took my name out of it.
Did you change your Instagram handle too?
Yep, sure did.
So-
Changed everything over.
What's the new one?
The Knife Box channel.
The Knife Box channel. See? Nice and easy. So easy.
Simple, right? It's even more simple.
I love it.
Right?
I took the apostrophes out and everything. Yeah,
I love it.
simplifying.
All right.
We also have Dirk, who didn't change his YouTube channel and Instagram. Dirk Werning on YouTube and at Dirk Werning _YouTube on Instagram. So,
Welcome.
back for another episode, boys. It's been probably a month and a half or so, so we should have some stuff to talk about here.
Oh, we got plenty to talk about.
I don't know if G's going to join us today.
Plenty.
We'll see if he joins about halfway through or so. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into what's everybody carrying today.
Let's start off with Dirk.
I had the Norseman with me today that I
All
just
right.
got. I got this as part of a trade plus cash deal for a Todd Bay Glimpse that I was selling. And dude offered me this one. And I've had Norsemans in before, kind of on loan, and handled them, and I never really had to have one. Okay.
Well, let's talk about that knife, man.
I thought they were cool, but I didn't see the need to have one. And then when he sent me some pictures of the serial number is 3434 and it's RWL 34 steel. I don't know. For some reason that resonated with me because it's kind of a weird number. So I said, okay, sure, I'll trade. So that's how I ended up with it. And so far, yeah, I'm liking it. Is it going to be a long-term keeper? I've had it for 2 days, so hard to say so far.
Yeah. Well, I always, that knife is still a resonating thing for me because for years I stayed away from it like the plague. I didn't like it. You know what I mean? I understood it. Like it looked like it's a cutting tool, but I just didn't feel the need to buy one.
Right.
Now, on the flip side, it wasn't a lot like the other people were like, oh, it's overpriced, too much money, that's why I'm not buying one. It wasn't that. It was just whether I wanted to buy it or not. And so then one day, like a few years back, the Grimsmo started having them in stock. I'm like, holy crap, there's no waiting list. You could just buy one right off the website, right? So at that time, that wasn't a bad month for me anyways. And I didn't really know what else. I was waiting on a few builds and whatnot. So I'm like, it's not going to be terrible to flip this thing if I buy it and end up not liking it. Let's see what this thing's all about. So
Right.
I buy it, and I ended up pretty much starting to fall in love with it the minute I started carrying it. Not the minute I unboxed it, but the minute I started carrying it. The slim carry. There's a lot of little quirky things about it that just make life a little bit easier for me. And I like that recurve, that front edge of the recurve just cuts really, really, really well. So as polarizing as it looks, I ended up going from a hater to a lover. I don't know. That's just me.
I'm not a hater or a lover yet. I've always just thought they're okay. And, but yeah, carrying it, and I've carried some of the ones that people have loaned in before. It is so thin, it just disappears in your pocket. So far, I've only worn it with jeans, but it's kind of a little weighty for slacks and stuff, but I'm sure it's going to carry just fine in like dress pants and stuff like that too, or in a suit if you ever needed. So yeah, it carries super great. And the fact that it's a little polarizing and there is a lot of hate on something, sometimes that means I like it more. Just because I like to stir the pot a little bit here and there.
Yep, I'm with you guys. What about you, Tom? What's your thought on it? You had a recent experience with a Grimsmo product.
I did. I've never handled a Norseman, but I did have the Rask that I got drawn
Mhm.
for. I liked it, but not enough to justify the cost for me personally. It was super nice. I've already sold it, already shipped it. I didn't do a review on it. Um, I don't know. It just didn't do anything for me. It's kind of like the Holt Spectre to me. Like, it's very nice. You can tell how well it's made. It just doesn't do it for me for the price point.
Oh, the Spectres are ridiculous.
The
I mean,
Yeah,
let's not even talk about the secondary on a Spectre. I think it's stupid.
the secondary on the new Rasks is pretty high too. It seems like for now until they start getting them produced since they just restarted this year.
Right. And I've done a video on the whole secondary market BS stuff before, and I get it, capitalism, and I mean I understand that, but I think it's also stupid.
Agreed.
well, don't get too far ahead because that's going to be part of today's main topic.
I know.
So but all in all, hey, it's all what you intended it to be. Now, I'm not going to blast names of other channels or whatnot, but I do have one question for you, Dirk, because in a semi-recent video, somebody had said that the Norseman was not. It was all hype, and it was, and it had a few issues and things like that. And then when I reached out to him, he had kind of changed and said, "Well, no, I'm starting to talk to more people." And he's saying that it's more the recent Norseman. So you're a perfect candidate. How is that thing, man?
This, and I know the video you're talking about also, and I had trouble watching the whole thing because it was so polarizingly different experience than what I had with like 3 or 4 Norsemans myself. So I stomached through the video and was like, really, dude? And I think I reached out to him too. But this one, this was the serial number 3434. I think it was May of 2020. I'd have to look at the card again. So it's about a year old. So it's a new version. I don't have any issues with it. I think it's
good, right?
It's good. I don't have any quirks. Yes, sometimes it'll bounce. Hard to show here,
Well, they're
that too.
for that.
But that happens on so many knives that I have. On the close, it bounces a little.
Yeah.
Like that just happens. Like the freaking battle. It'll sometimes, if I slam it down, it bounces. And and there's nothing not quality handmade about this thing, and it bounces. So bouncing sometimes is not a bad thing. It's just part of the construction of a knife.
You can still close, but you could still close that knife without bouncing it off the stop pin. That just
this
all
one
depends on the angle.
Boom.
So it's
It's
I
nice
like
and controlled. It's a controlled drop shot, right? It's not a guillotine. It's not free flowing. Like a button lock, right? That just free drops. This has some
and it depends on how you tune them too, right?
Yep.
I mean,
because I took this one apart because it was kind of, it wasn't gritty. Like it wasn't super smooth. So I did take it apart and clean it, and it was totally bone dry. Like there was nothing. Like it was completely dry. Ran a Q-tip in the bearing races, like completely dry. So I wiped it all down, put a couple of drops of the included nano oil because they include the tool, the grease, the oil, everything, and tuned it up the way I liked it. Not too tight, not too loose. And 9 out of 10 times it doesn't bounce. If I try to make it go faster, then it'll bounce. Big deal. So it bounces. I don't care.
Right. But so my whole point of this is that so we can tailor knives a little bit to fit how we want them to be. Why do we expect knives to be right out of the box tailored to our liking, to everybody's liking, right out of the box each and every time? And I think like that's something like a lot of reviewers and stuff kind of don't take into account too. Like a lot of these knives are assembled, they're put together, and then boom, there you have it. And some of them, like you're expecting, like maybe on like a handmade custom or like a low production mid tech where they put their hands on it, that they're going to hand tune them for you.
Mm-hmm.
But on a production knife, probably not.
Mm-mm.
So like judging them right out of the box sometimes is not an indication of how good that knife can be. It's just more of an indication of how much attention that manufacturer's paying attention to in the assembly process, right? And maybe other things, who knows?
I agree. The only exception I take to that one, and I get a lot of grief on it because I pointed out on some videos, is if the pocket clip doesn't go in my pocket out of the box at any price range, whoever made it screwed up.
I mean, it
needs to work.
it's a
It
pocket
needs to
knife.
go in the pocket.
Right.
Pocket clip, I can't argue with, but there's not much you can do. I mean, yeah, you can get an aftermarket clip. I take that back, but
Yeah, I just did a ZT, and most horrible clip in the world I've ever seen. Like it legit would not go in the pocket at all.
It depends. If
Yeah,
it's something
that-
like a nice spring clip like this, like just a plain old
Yeah.
stamp clip. If it's too tight, I mean, you can just bend it up a little bit and loosen it up. That's cool. Some people like the pocket clip a little tighter than others. Like I like mine a little loose.
Agreed, but I shouldn't have to do that.
No, you gotta think.
Even on a production night, like it should still go in my pocket, and maybe it's too tight for me, then sure. But if I can't even get it in the pocket at all, period, then that's just a problem.
well, I
And
think
that
the one,
particular
like,
ZT, you couldn't. It's not one you could bend.
Yeah,
It's
that's
over way over
the-
there, but it's not
green
one you
carbon
could just
fiber one.
bend. Yeah, it's the green carbon fiber. Awesome knife, but I should not have to go out and buy an aftermarket clip the day I get a knife. You know, I just that's a thing.
that ZT was in a bit of an extreme of that for sure. That's a
Yes.
terrible clip design. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like they put the clip on and then they smash the whole thing in the vise. And I'm like, what? That like that's what it looked like.
right? I don't know.
But it wasn't my
It's-
knife. Somebody sent it to me, and so it's fine. And I told them, hey, when I send this to you, you might as well just start looking for an aftermarket clip now before I send it back to you. Because he ordered it new, and then just
Right.
had it shipped. Has them all shipped to me first. So
Right.
I get to see all of his knives the weeks before. Because I asked him the other day, I said, hey, is there anything else coming? Because I want to ship you your, I think 5 or 6 knives. And he goes, oh yeah, there's one more coming. So just wait. I'm like, okay.
Nice. What were you carrying, Tom?
Today I've got a Native 5 in Spy 27 that's ghosting on you guys right now. That was sent along by a viewer to test out my first experiences with Spyderco's new steel.
Oh, cool. I was kind of curious about that stuff.
Seems pretty solid so far.
I like the whole. I just like, I'm kind of a sucker in the gimmick of the whole blue scales with the cobalt steel
Yeah.
and all that.
It's kind of cool.
It's a cool gimmick. So I dig that.
I got about
I
a week.
like it.
I got about a
like
week
it.
of carry on so
any-
far.
Cool.
Any cutting experience with it?
Yeah, I've cut a decent bit with it so far. It seems all right. It seems. I don't want to give too much away, but it seems.
I was guessing S30V.
Yes, it performs pretty similar. It seems like.
Aha. Yeah, that's what I kind of thought. But that's cool. It's still a cool steel. It's probably, I think it's a little bit more like corrosion resistance, is it not?
I believe so. It's gonna be like a more stainless S35VN.
Right.
That's
right,
probably
right,
closer to the level of performance that it performs on. We'll see. I'm only on Edge 1, so we'll see.
Right. Cool. Very cool. Well, I
Yeah,
was
what did
carrying
you
one of the knives. I was carrying one of the knives we are going to actually talk about today. I was carrying the Sleesh Bowie. And
Oh, boy.
yeah, I like the knife. I'm not going to say much more than that, but I'm working on a video on it. So, yeah, I
I've
was
got
kind of carrying it
mine
around.
here on the table. Well, not mine,
There
but the
you
one
go.
that my buddy sent me, I do have here on my desk.
I feel left
because
out.
I figured you would have yours.
I mean, look how it fits my hand, though. I mean, to me personally, this knife is a good knife for my hand. So
I'm not gonna say they're a bad knife. I like it, and it fits well. I just I didn't like the hype. The undue
I didn't like
hype,
the hype either.
I think, is dumb. And when it's going to be a special limited run drop by Knifejoy exclusive, and it sells out in 10 seconds after it crashes the server and all of that, why?
Right.
And then literally 2 hours later, there's 17 of them on eBay for double or triple the price.
Yep.
Well, that makes me hate the crowd. That doesn't make me hate the knife.
I agree.
I like
I don't
the
hate the knife. I hate the people. But that's just a general statement. I do hate people.
I think we all do in some sense. And I totally agree with you. The whole thing was a shit show. And it sucks for enthusiasts like myself. I don't want to use the word collector. Go a little above that and say enthusiast, which is somebody who wanted to buy one to like keep one, right? So, but capitalism is capitalism, and like $150 over, $100 over, fine. But then like the majority of them were like $1,000, which is like more than double the price.
Yeah,
which is, that's kind of gouging. I mean, let's be real.
Kind of.
So
that's ridiculous.
But at the same time,
and people paid it. That's the problem. Is people probably paid $1,000 to get one, and that's wrong because they're gonna make more. Knifejoy said they're gonna do more.
Ethan Ruins EDC says, just blame Nick Shabazz.
Partially because his video came out the day before saying, hey, at exactly this time and exactly this.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, which I get, and we tried to promote the things like that too, and I tried to announce when there's a drop if I know ahead of time. But I don't know.
You can't blame Shabazz in a sense though, because he's doing his job, right? Like if he's making a video and he makes you want to buy it, then he did what he's set out to do. He's reviewing product and he thinks it's good, and he really presented it in a way that was convincing.
I like what Shabazz said.
Wanted one.
I like what Shabazz said though when he made the video. He was like, "This is not a $600, $700, $800 knife. He goes, this is a $400 knife, and if you think it's that."
Correct. He's okay. So he said that with the Knifejoy video, or the Knifejoy release, but he's also made a couple of those videos with the old Sleesh Buoy saying the exact same thing too.
Right.
So he's been saying all along, don't like it's not a $600-$700 knife or whatever, guys. It's a good like $300 knife or whatever.
Yes.
So I paid $500 for mine because I wasn't able to be at the computer at 8:00 in the morning on Friday working at the dealership. So I paid $100 over. I was fine with it, and I really like the knife. I plan to keep it.
Have either one of you had the original?
No,
I've handled two of the original.
I had two of the originals before they were discontinued. And I
think this one's better.
I haven't handled the new one, but I think the old one is way better in every way.
Well, I think the new one's better built, but I think the old one is better looking because I like the old one had some sharp edges inside the thumb hole. It was a little bit sharp.
I like that.
The typical Taichung.
I like that.
This one is actually nice and rounded. Like there's no sharp edges. So that's very un-Taichung of them to do that.
That's what I like. Like I got a little chaparral lightweight, and that's made in the Taichung factory, and the edges on that are very, very sharp. Yeah. And I like that though. I like that it catches my thumb real easily.
This one catches your thumb great, but it's not sharp where it catches into your hand. You can see it deploys really easily. I also feel like the pivot tolerances are a little bit better than the other ones I've handled, and I'm only judging that based on like the action like out of the box. This one really flicks open easy. My old ones had like more of like a stiffer actions, the ones that I handled, because I haven't taken this one apart or anything. So I think I like the materials and the finish of the old one better. Like the mirror stonewash blade was really cool.
Mhm.
I don't mind the blue. I like the blue, but this knife is cool to me. It doesn't mean that it's a $500 knife to you. It is to me, but that's not saying that go out and spend 500 on it, because it's still a Spyderco.
I feel like we lost something that was really cool with the Bowie when they went with the satin finish instead of that badass mirror stonewash.
That's the whole thing you lost, man.
That
You can't
was.
see your reflection anymore.
I really was considering buying one of those until I saw that it was a satin finish, and I was instantly out on that. I was cool with it being M390, although I'd have rather kept it XHP. The blue was cool. I like the blue.
I would have too.
And as soon as I saw
Right.
that it was a satin finish instead, I'm out. That's the whole thing of the high-end
Yeah.
Spyderco thing, is that mirror stonewash, especially being from Taichung. That's what I wanted.
Well, so
Okay.
here's where I think this would have been just what you said. That's what I think would have made this a $400 knife, is if they would have made this blade like a hand rub satin instead of a belt rough machine satin.
I would have been cool with
This
that.
was a hand rub satin. This would have been a perfect $399 knife. It would have been totally worth it. But that blade finish is kind of cheap, in my opinion. It's a quick belt job,
Yep.
I agree with that. Yeah, I agree.
Oh,
But again, I don't hate
Yeah.
the knife. I'm not a big fan of wire clip in general, but
right.
that's just a personal thing. And again,
Right.
if somebody's comfortable spending 500 or even $1,000 because they wanted it on eBay right away, and they're comfortable with that, I mean, who am I to tell you how to spend your money? I'm just saying it ain't worth $1,000. I'm not sure it was worth 400 in the drop, but a lot of people are going to say that the battle isn't worth what it was cost, right? But to each their own.
But that market is different, Dirk, because that market to me is a blurred pricing market. It really could be worth you can put it up today and it'll max out at $7,000, and then you could put it up a year from now and it'll be $20,000. You just never know. It just all depends on what's going on with that maker or whatnot. Who knows?
Right. When you get into that level in the multiple thousand, I mean, it was, I don't know, it was under 10 grand. We'll just put it that way. When you're up at that level, yeah, it's fickleness. I could list it for 11 and maybe get it. I could list it for 9 and have to settle for 7. Who knows? I'm not selling it. It's not gonna be sold. More than likely, that is a forever keeper, because since I bought that in March, I've not really, I legit haven't bought anything else. I got the Norseman in a trade, so I don't know that I've bought any knives since then. Certainly nothing of any substance. And nothing catches my eye. There's nothing I really need to go and buy. I'm kind of done. I could leave the knife community happy now. I'm not not necessarily planning to do that either, but I certainly don't need another Grail. And I didn't throw around the Grail word like a lot of people do. That was my Grail, was to have a Frank Fisher battle, and for years, and I got it, and I'm good, and it's still my Grail knife.
That's awesome.
So,
well, let's move into our segment of knives. What do you guys think? Because I already saw somebody talking about one of them. I saw that too. The lobster.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about that one.
Talk about the lobster. So this leads us, since we're talking about the Sleesh buoy, this leads us into our next thing, and I hope Spyderco keeps going, because since I've been around a little while, I've seen some of those early Spydercos from years and years and years ago, and it is coming to be re-released that the Spyderco Lobster has come back. That's another really, really old design. I think, who is it? An Anzo design, if I remember right? Right? And now I am not going to run and buy one of these, but I really think it's cool.
Can you guys still see that?
It's super
Yes.
cool. Yeah, I see it.
Cool.
It's a good sized knife. It's got a very nice flat grind. I mean, so it's going to be a very user friendly knife.
It's very
kind of
Spidey Chef.
It is.
It is.
God damn it.
It is the original Spidey Chef before the Spidey Chef existed.
Okay.
I can't even remember what year that knife is from. It's got to be like.
It was discontinued in 09 when I was looking into that.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Way old school. So bringing this back in M4 in Blade HQ fashion with some JG10 scales. So cool knife, I think. What do you guys think?
I like it. I've always liked the Rock Lobster. I also think Anso's Maker's Mark is one of the cooler ones out there.
Right.
But the only thing I didn't get in on this one. I thought about it. I don't like the handle that much, as far as shape.
Yeah, I like it when it's closed. I don't like it when it's open.
I've seen some people actually cut this bit off and make this flat all the way through.
That probably looks nice.
So it's more smooth. It almost looks kind of like, it looks like one of the Shiros that's like that, with the really swept up handle and the blade sits low.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I would do with that knife, Tom? I would give it to that guy on Instagram that does the chop knives, that chops them shorter.
Yeah.
That would be a cool project for him.
It would be. I like the original, and the price is high, but it also can't be cheap for Spyderco to go back and make a one-off thing like this.
Right. It's not going to be a huge number production thing, I don't think.
I don't think so.
I like the Fisherman.
Yeah.
Yeah. The handle's a
funny.
little odd looking.
I really am curious to see how it feels in the hand. Because there's got to be a reason why Anso put that there.
Right.
Because it's not pretty, so it's got to be some sort of comfort of some sort, right?
Has to be.
It must be.
I know
Unless it's just to make it look the same when it's closed. Like, look like one continuous line up top. I don't know.
I read from a couple people who had them before that they said that it looks ugly and it looks very uncomfortable until you get it in hand. And they said it actually feels pretty good in hand.
Okay.
Yeah. It kind of has that curve like the Hellraiser from handle to blade, a little bit.
Yeah.
Like a dip down.
I like it.
Yeah.
I've always liked the Rock Lobster. It's kind of a cool knife. I like the name. The name's kind of funny.
The name's kind of cool. I agree with that.
Yeah, like the whole idea, like at $230, that's only a few bucks more than a PM2 nowadays, right?
Yeah, you're not kidding.
Right.
And it's an M4. That's great steel.
Now,
so.
saying that, going to what Nap Sergeant just said in the chat, that is kind of an odd steel for like a sea-themed knife.
This is true.
How cool would this
very, very,
How
very
cool would this
true.
have been? I'm not a huge LC200N fan, but how cool this would have been in like Vanax or something.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. Even LC200N would have been fine. But I think it was just a design idea that never really. I don't think that knife was truly designed to be in the water.
No, I don't think so either.
What was the original one in?
VG10.
VG10.
Yeah, because it's made in Japan.
That's
And
right.
it was so long ago. That makes sense too.
That too.
Right. That was the good stuff.
What was the original price? The original price was $230.
It's the same. It's the same price.
So
Does it have a date anywhere on there?
no, but you can tell how old it is. It just looks like an old picture.
Right.
Look at the hardware and stuff.
I like
But
that.
that's pretty good. So if it was discontinued in 2009 and it was
Right.
$230 in 2009,
Right.
now we're at 2021 and it's $230. Like that's like the
That's
two tacos,
cool, right?
two tacos for 99 cents at Jack in the Box, right?
Now let me play devil's advocate.
Right.
Let me play devil's advocate here. And what if they change the price on this to be the same as the other one to think people are getting a good deal?
That could
Right.
be. Like that could be, but
Right.
I'm saying if we accept what it is, that's like the Jack in the Box two tacos for 99 cents.
It's
They've
actually
been 99 cents for 100 years.
This is
so were
actually-
they screwing us then, or are we just getting a deal now? Like,
So it was $230.97 for the old one. It's $229 here. So it's almost
it's cheaper.
It's $2 cheaper.
I mean,
With
I don't
M4.
know. With a better steel,
I think the price is right. I
don't know.
price is right, guys.
Yeah, I don't think it's
Personally, I think
absurd.
the price is right. All right. Well, I like it. I think we can all say that we give our approval if that's your thing. That's kind of a cool knife.
Yeah, I
So
think
the
that's not bad.
So let's go on to the next guy. This one, Knife Sergeant's going to be all over it because he owns one. Let's bring up the James brand, the Barnes. So this was kind of a shock to me because this brand has been around for years, and I've kind of been following them. I've never bought a James brand knife, but I've always kind of been peeking around because it's kind of that different kind of hipster, whatever, right? Like they usually do smaller knives. As a matter of fact, back out of that, Tom, real quick, and just go to the James brand so you can see like what they normally offer, right? So usually like they're like $130, like weird little bottle cap type knives. They're just like little niche stuff, right? Nothing, it almost like is what Quiet Carry does better.
I can
It's
see
kind of
that.
like in that realm, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they have their own little niche, right? Like this little slip joint, if it wasn't $200, I'd probably buy one. Look at their front flipper. It's like a little 2.7-inch Damascene steel for $375. That's like, so to me, they're like, I can't say that they're overpriced because I think they're U.S. made.
They're not.
I think
No, I think they
They're
are they
not.
made by Riyadh.
Yes.
that's who makes it.
So-
Okay,
So 650 for that
is high.
from Riyadh.
Is high.
I don't know. I've never handled one, so I can't say it's awesome or not. But that seems, on the face of it, that's ridiculously high.
I'm not going to go as far as say ridiculously high,
I
but I'm
will.
going to say it's high.
I will. It's from Riyadh. It's six. It's standard materials.
But look at it though. Look at the machining. It's got a micarta inlaid backspacer.
See, that's cool.
insane.
That is
I
very
mean,
cool.
the micarta backspacer is pretty cool.
and
Like, I
it's
mean, I do
contoured.
agree with that.
Look, it's counter sunk in there, Dirk. It's like one continuous flat piece. So that is cool. And it's
Yes.
integral.
That part is cool, and it's an integral or however the hell you pronounce it. I get it, but it's 650.
I would price that at $500 or $499. Because $499 sounds better.
Yeah. I mean, it's an under $500 knife. What's the blade steel? I don't even know.
M390.
I
Of
mean,
course.
it's sub 500.
Okay, so
If it had a Damascene blade, then 650. Okay.
Right.
so
Right.
Then I'm okay
this
with
isn't
that.
this isn't the first integral we've seen from Riyadh. Remember the one that was made for Matt Diskin?
Yeah.
Do you remember
That's
the price on that?
IDF. $350.
Exactly. This is
Mhm.
$300
Yeah,
higher.
but, dude, you cannot compare the IDF to that. The IDF is just a little tiny little flipper, simple knife. This is sick. I'm sorry. I dig this a lot.
It's
I'm not
cool.
buying it because it's too expensive for what it is for me, but I think it's badass. Go to the other one, Tom. Let's see what the other one.
It's cool, but I think
want.
I'd rather have a Sebenza and an extra $200.
Thank you. I mean, I don't know. What does Knife Sergeant say? He's got one.
I think Knife Sergeant digs it.
He says he prefers
mean-
the textured tie over the inlaid one.
There it is.
Okay, but was it worth 650? He's had
one
it in
is-
hand. I don't
This one
know.
is $599.
Oh, okay. So if Knife Sergeant's still there, chime in with, do you think it's worth $600?
He's gonna say yes. He's buying mayos and stuff.
I'm just saying. I don't know. I mean,
He's buying some crazy stuff. That guy.
It's hard for me to say because we've never handled it. So I probably shouldn't say it's way overpriced because I haven't handled it. But
If it's as good as it looks, then I'm gonna say it's 100 to 150 bucks over what it's worth.
The contouring here at the end of the handle looks very, very good.
Right.
But man, that's
okay,
a,
so
that's a lot of
Now we're
cash.
just- Super Steel Steve's in the house.
Thank you, Steve.
Bench
I was gonna say
Anthem.
the Anthem. The Anthem made in the U.S. 20 CV, same steel on bearings was $499 MSRP and $400
Right,
map price.
$400 mat price.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I still think this is a much better looking knife. But it is definitely too high. That's cool. The pad underneath the pocket clip right there, how it extends to the lock bar too.
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of cool.
Over travel lock. Yeah, that's cool.
I mean,
So-
it's a good looking knife, but I don't see it being that much money.
You know what? I'm gonna buy one, but I'm gonna
Oh.
buy one secondary.
Okay.
That's
And
what
you-
I'm gonna do. I think I can get one for 400 bucks later.
Give it a couple of weeks, maybe Naf will sell you his.
later. 450 bucks.
I'm
All right.
gonna be honest. I've never liked any of the James Brand stuff. Not.
I've
I've
always,
never really looked at them.
It's too, like you said earlier. It's like very hipster. It's like people wanting to be like cool in the knife industry, but they just don't have it.
like they don't get it.
No.
Yeah.
And guessing
Well,
by how
if
many are
all
still
their
in stock.
prices are an indication. I'm not going to look at them too closely anyway.
Ugh.
Yeah. That front flipper, they made a front flipper in a little pocket knife that was kind of cool, but yeah, it's like everything's almost there, but then like there's always something about it that I'm like, nah. Yeah, see, like that one was one of the ones I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. And then I looked at the price, I'm like, nah.
I mean, this knife looks a lot like a Kaiser Feist that you
Right,
could get
and
for
the
like
flipper on
$100.
It
And
does
this
like
is-
the Liang Ma cuff flipper or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Kind of at the very top.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't hate the brand. It's just they've never put out anything that has appealed to me.
Oh, Alex, you were military. You should be able to get it at 480. Oh, because that's right. They do military discount.
So for 480, I think you're good.
Yeah. I
Like
could
I'm
do that
I'm
for
okay
480.
with that.
Well, mine's probably gonna be 500 or more because I want that micarta one.
Okay. So
It's gonna get nasty too. Watch.
Yeah, I think so. It's so much my card, it'll get all goofed up.
Yeah, that's sick.
It's a cool looking
Hey.
knife. I'll give it that.
So there is
Yeah,
another
yeah.
integral knife that's really like the new hot thing right now, which wasn't one of the ones I mentioned we were talking about, but the Vero Industry one,
Mhm.
which is made now. Is that made by Best Tech, the integral one?
I'm pretty sure all of his stuff is made by Best Tech.
Yeah, I would assume that it is because they all have been made by Best Tech so far. So I'm guessing.
Now, I am not a Best Tech a connoisseur, so I don't know. But I don't remember Best Tech ever making a integral before.
Mm,
I'm not sure either.
I don't know.
Like not even for like Adam Purvis's knives, like the Primordial and all the other stuff.
Hmm.
I don't think I know Best Tech makes his stuff. I've never seen an integral. What I remember, I could be wrong though. But anyways, that's not that important. But the price on that Vero Industries integral is how much?
I don't know.
I'm not sure. I haven't been keeping up with the Vero stuff.
Yeah, I kind of dropped out of that scene myself.
I'm over his stuff.
Yeah, but I do have to admit that Vero that's what it's called, the Zerx, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
it is cool. I'm not gonna lie, but it is just not. Um, Wait, that's not the one I'm talking about, Tom.
This is the Zerks. This is the one that NAF Sergeant just talked about. This is the. This is an A Purvis, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that integral?
So they have done an integral before.
That's an integral?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Still haven't seen the spine yet.
I thought he had a picture up here. Maybe not. There you go.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Smooth.
So they have done it.
So they have done it before. There you go. Leave it to the NAF sergeant. So, yeah, I think that's interesting knife, but I think we're all going to agree just a little high on that price. And maybe really high on that price. So, yeah, next knife.
What we got?
Next one, let's talk about the CJRB. Let's go like a little more of the Feldspar. I want to talk about that thing, man. I don't care which version you pick out, but I really, really dig the look of this knife, and it's cheap.
I like it.
It's cheap. Look at that. The S35VN, like JG10, DLC, $75.
Huh.
That's a good looking knife.
Right? Like, I got tempted. I'm like, man, that's not bad.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is cool, like, this world of knives where, like, see, little and big one? That's cool.
Oh, okay, that's kind of cool.
That's very cool. And I'm digging, like, how, like, these, like, less expensive knives are just still, like, really on a tear right now, making some really cool stuff. I know Dirk's been really digging the Honey Badger stuff. And
yeah, I think there's a really good place for affordable budget knives.
Yep.
I mean, I really appreciate a lot of them. And I'm kind of weird. My collection kind of ranges from the $20 Kubi to the multi-$1,000 handmade customs, right? And I like everything in between. It's just, what do you want to carry that day? Where are you going? What are you doing? I think you have to have a lot of tools in the toolbox to handle whatever situation you may be going into.
Right. Well, and it's really, that's exactly it. And what's cool is nowadays, I don't know if you guys remember years and years ago when you used to buy budget knives, they looked a certain way, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now, like, these guys are trying to give you a little taste of what these custom knife makers are doing, right? Like Tom had one up earlier. This one has pivot colors too, right? Like you pay $75, you get like some brass and some micarta. Back in the day, you can get that on a budget knife or S35VN, right?
No.
Even if it's crap S35VN, it's still gonna cut better than the old 8CR or whatever, like it's still gonna be a good cutting steel. Or D2 is gonna be fine. That's the one I was talking about. I'm like, that's an attractive knife.
Absolutely.
So I like the fact that they're giving like a taste of the more like the custom knife makers accents and trying a little hard. They're trying a lot harder than they used to, which I really appreciate.
No, I agree. It's an affordable price. At some of these ones are like, $50 to $75, depending on what it is. I mean, here's one for $35. Like,
right.
It still looks, it doesn't look like a $35 knife.
Right.
When I think of a $35 knife, I think gas station knives that we looked and we oogled at when we were 10 and 12, right?
Right.
We're waiting for dad to buy whatever at the liquor store or the liquor store, and they had that counter of knives. That's what I think of in that $25, $35 range.
Like
that's
one
not
had
what this is.
Like a triple recurve with a triple regrind, and then the handle was like a scorpion tail.
And when we were 10 and 12 years old, we thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
not what you're getting for $35 these days. I mean, I'm sure you can
No.
still get that, but there are a lot of decent options in that sub $100 range.
And these knives are so fun that even some of us like higher dollar collectors will buy these and enjoy them. And it's cool because it blends like the lower tier crowd with the higher tier crowd. Like we're all buying some of the same products, you know, and then like when you see somebody, you know, that maybe like that's in the Spyderco world, and then you see a CJRB in his pocket, you might recognize him and be like, oh, I know that brand, you know, like it's all kind of becoming more tied together, as in back in the day it was more of like separate worlds, I guess. So I like that. That kind of reminds me of a little CRK, what do they call that little
The CEO?
No, not the CEO. It's the Chris Reeve.
Oh shit!
You know, the little thing they discontinued recently.
Oh, they discontinued that slip joint?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it is. It's a Harsey design though.
Yeah, the slip joint, the Harsey design. That's not discontinued. The smaller folder.
Oh, damn it.
I'll tell you right now, because it's gonna drive me nuts. Let's see.
Not the Menandi, is it?
Yes, the Menandi.
It's still on their site.
Yeah, but they're discontinuing it.
Aw. I thought you were talking about this. I thought you were talking about the Impinda.
Yeah. No, I know.
Oh, the Menandi? I've got a Menandi here from my brother that I still have to do a video on.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's actually, it's a lot cooler than I thought it was going to be, because I'd never handled one. And so he sent it up to me with some other stuff, and I thought it was a slip joint. Like, I didn't realize that it's a liner lock. Like, I didn't realize. So the first time I opened it, I was like, whoa, there's no half style. Like, I was very surprised. But yeah, I'm digging it. It's pretty cool. And his is a Damascus blade and everything, so it's kind of cool.
Oh, nice. Yeah, your brother's got good taste, man. He's got some good stuff.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He's got a very small collection, though. I think he's up to like 12 knives now, and he's kind of freaking out because he likes to keep it under 10.
Yeah, but he changes them like underwear.
He is actually listed ones for sale before it showed up in the mail.
Yeah.
Like, it was coming today, and he posted it up for sale using the pictures from the other guy, because in transit, he decided it wasn't going to be a keeper for him. Right. So he literally listed it for sale before the mailman showed up that day.
That's hilarious.
Other times it's been the next day. Like, sometimes he just knows. I can't do that. I pull it out of the box, and 9 out of 10 times I just don't know if it's going to be a keeper or not a keeper or whatever, right?
Right.
He just knows. He pulls it out. He opens it a couple times. He goes, yep, that's done. Go sell it. All right.
Well, since we got a half hour left, I think we should just go to our main topic. What do you guys think?
I'm down.
Let's do it.
All right. So what I thought would be, and I'm going to get my phone up so I can read the comments to interact with everybody. But today's discussion is going to be pretty much shopping on the secondary market. And since we're talking about the Slish Bowie and whatever else knives are new and hot out there, you know, I thought like the three of us could kind of collaborate and give some people like some of the shopping cues and things that we do when we're shopping around for knives and stuff we're looking for. And it can be anything from shopping on the secondary to talking about, you know, shopping on the knife stores a little bit, and, you know, how you guys do it.
Go ahead, Tom.
As far as when I treat buying knives like buying guns or buying cars. I almost never buy new, just because of the fact that as soon as somebody owns it, you lose a little bit of value. I'll spend a little bit of extra time looking on the secondary to try and find what I want instead of actually paying full price for it, unless it's like the Swiss buoy that jumps $200, $300, $400.
Right.
That's the only time I'll
Right.
buy something new.
Well, Tom's a bad example because he doesn't buy new knives very often. He's not into like the shopping thing. He's more into like the cutting and sharpening thing.
Right.
So he doesn't. He's not sitting there waiting for the next hot thing, which is really surprising, Tom, because you bought a Rask.
Yeah. That was more...
I mean, like there has been like $400-$500 knives that have like twice as the cool factor, and you never would step up and buy these because you're a CMF. And then all of a sudden, I see a Rask in your hand. I'm like, what?
I didn't really tell anybody I was buying it either until it came in.
Yeah, because you're a girl like that. Oh, by the way, Super Steel Steve wants to change the topic to when will Tom weigh 150 pounds? Over or under 5 years?
I literally just responded to him and said I just hit 150. So, right here, Steve.
Oh boy.
But
Yeah, I think Tom's hands are growing too.
yeah, look how big it is now. Wow.
That's what she said.
Here we go.
Oh man.
But yeah,
So
I did grab one of those. That's the first new knife I bought in a while.
what did it feel like, man?
It was very nice. Like I said earlier, it feels a lot like the Spectre to me. Just one of those high-end knives. That's not really my forte.
Yeah.
That's not something I normally buy. I don't see the value in it for me personally. But I can see how people who are into the higher end stuff would really enjoy that. But for me,
Right.
it's almost like it's more of a piece of art than a cutting tool that I would beat on every day.
Right. How was the like the edge bevels, the crowning, like the overall construction? Was it as impressive as people say?
I
to
was very, very impressed. There was a lot of little details that were very impressive. I like what they do is they put a lot of like on the lock bar insert, it shows the date that it was made, the number of the Rask. They put that on the spine too. Underneath the clip, on the underside, you can't even see it. It says Grimsmo Knives underneath the clip. There's just so many like little things that are kind of cool.
And they
Right.
did the same thing on the Norseman. Like, as I took it apart, and I think I posted a picture like of an exploded view, and it's got the date inside of it's got their logo inside the scales. I mean, there's a lot of it, like little details that you wouldn't know unless you opened it up. And I'm kind of like, it's cool that makers do that level of stuff inside where people would never know.
Yeah,
Right.
like an Easter egg, huh?
When
Kind of, yeah.
I sold it to a guy that lives in Canada, so I took the whole thing apart to
Okay,
send
yeah.
it to him. So I basically
Yep.
I popped the blade out, put everything else back together, and had them in two separate pieces, basically. And I'm glad that he asked me to do that because I wasn't going to take it apart otherwise. But taking it apart, the handles are so light because of all the internal milling. It was stupid.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a
Yeah.
good 60% of the weight is the blade.
Right.
It was very impressive. Honestly,
Crazy.
if that was something I was into, that would be a knife that I would 110% be a keeper for me.
But why wouldn't you just keep it and use it like you use all your Spydercos and your other stuff and just make it a permanent keeper?
Because it's
Like
$900.
it's still a gem.
Because it's $900. I've got stuff laying here on the table that cost me
Only
100,
money.
$150, $200, $300 that have better steel in them, that are ground better for that kind of stuff, that I don't feel as bad, beating on, doing the things that I do with my knives. It's just not something that fits what I use my knives for.
Let's just face it, Tom. Your hands were just too small for it.
I will say it's a little bit bigger than I thought it was going to be.
That's what she said.
It's not okay. It's not a big knife, but it was bigger than what you think it is from looking at the pictures online.
Right,
okay.
right. So it's deceivingly larger than.
I thought it was more in like the size range of, I don't know, not quite like paramilitary 2 size, more para 3, a little bit bigger. But it's a full 3.5 inch blade with a full size handle. It's a pretty decent sized knife still.
Nice, nice. So early when I learned about Grimsmos, that was the knife that I wanted. I didn't want their Norseman. I'm like, I don't care about that knife. That's the model I want. But they were so hard to get, still hard to get.
Mhm.
I plan to have one in my collection at some point in time for sure. That's a knife I wanted for years. So, but yeah,
You know what?
keep joining.
You know what high end knife I would take instead of that and actually probably use is what your skiff made.
Oh, my drifter.
That's sick.
You know what? No, I don't think so, Tom.
Why?
I don't think the blade geometry is good enough for you.
Nah, but the milling does it for me on that one.
Okay, so
It's
see,
pretty
that one's
sweet.
about aesthetics now.
That listen, what steel is in the drifter? I forget.
It's CPM 154.
Yeah, never mind.
See?
I think there's always an aspect of aesthetics with every knife that we buy.
Yeah, for sure.
Because if it's ugly, it's ugly and it turns you off, and you're probably not going to buy it unless it's a Norseman and you're buying it because it's ugly, right? There are some things that you buy because it's ugly, but if you don't like the look of it, like the Battle is a great example, right? A lot of people just think it's ugly and they're not going to buy it. I think completely opposite. I think this is amazing. And the first time I saw it, I had to have one, right? Now, I'll be honest, I was not going to get one that was this fancy. Like, I never thought I would get one this fancy. But the opportunity came up from a friend of mine, said, hey, I'll give it to you for X, whatever. And we worked out a deal and all that good stuff, right? And then I've talked to Frank about doing just a plain Jane one, and I can't afford a plain Jane one. It's not much less than the full dress ones. So, but there's aesthetics to everything.
Of course.
So that's my point.
Paul says it looks
Well,
like a mermaid pimp's knife, and I love it.
Perfect.
No, but I mean, and that's the thing too. Like that's always been my niche is more about than steel performance. I'm more about design. That's always been my thing. Locks, milling patterns, little subtle details. That's why I buy a knife is usually the design aspect of it. I like cool and different things and unique locks and just sometimes I like really out there and outlandish looking knives too. So,
and that's the beauty of the hobby is there's something for everybody, right? If somebody wants your traditional looking knife, there's a million of those. You want something
right.
wild and crazy, there's a bunch of those. You want stuff in the middle, like there's something for everybody, and that's the beauty of the hobby. But kind of circling back to this buying and selling, buying online and secondary and all that stuff. One of the biggest things I would say is ask a lot of questions. If you're buying something secondary on Facebook or Blade Forum or, wherever you're going to buy stuff, build a relationship with that person before you send them your money. We see it every day. I moderate a couple different groups on Facebook, and almost, I don't know, once a week, somebody's reaching out to me and saying, oh my God, this dude screwed me in the group. And I'm like, look, dude, like, I can't help you exactly with that, but here's what I can help you with, right? Because I'm not the fraud police in my groups, but start a relationship, talk to them, ask for pictures, talk about the shipping. Yep. How's it going to be shipped? Like, legit ask that question, because not everybody has seen my shipping videos. You can go check those out on how to ship a knife, but not everybody has seen those, obviously, because some of the stuff I get from people that have loaned me stuff is ridiculous. So talk to the person about how are they going to ship it. Is it going to be USPS priority? Is it going to be like slow boat from China? Are they going to overnight it? Like for the Battle, I talked to him. I said, hey, you got to overnight it, early delivery. Like I wasn't taking chances, and I'll pay extra Like I gave him extra money to pay for the overnight shipping. He said, I'll pay for the overnight shipping. You pay for the insurance. Sure. So I did. Like, here's a couple $100 to cover insurance and all that. Like, I'm good with that. And I got it at 9:25. I was supposed to be here by 9:30. I got here at 9:25 a.m. So talk to the seller and guys agree how it's going to be shipped if you care.
That's exactly how my RAS deal went. The guy asked all sorts of questions. This is the first time I've ever sold something as expensive as this was.
Yeah.
So, like, as a seller, you try and give them as much info and stuff to make them feel comfortable, spending that amount of money with you.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked, all sorts of questions about it. He asked, would you be willing to ship to Canada? How long is it going to take to get here? I got quotes for him from multiple different, shippers.
Yep.
We ended up going with UPS. He asked, could you maybe overnight it so it's in the mail as little as possible?
Mm-hmm.
We worked out a deal with that. I took the knife apart for him. He asked me, can you take a picture with the knife with my email next to it in today's date just so I can verify that you have the knife? Absolutely. I feel like people shouldn't be afraid to ask for simple stuff like that. It's so easy to do.
I completely agree. And I've done a video about, like the 5 things I learned about selling online or buying online. I've done one. I got to do the other side of it here soon. But I talk about that. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask any question of a seller that you want to ask to make you as the buyer feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And if I, as the seller, get 101 questions from Alex and then he buys it, I know he's comfortable with buying from me. I know he's comfortable with everything we've talked about. And that money, for me personally, it sits in PayPal until you get the knife. I track it. I send you tracking information, but I also get the alerts on my phone that, hey, it got delivered.
Yes.
And on Thursday, when it gets delivered to Alex, Thursday night, I'm sending a quick text or message, however we were communicating, saying, hey, it was delivered this afternoon. Did you get it? And what do you think?
Right.
Yep.
And the money sits there. I don't spend the money. I don't move it out of PayPal. Like, it's super easy for me to refund the money if Alex isn't happy with what I sent him.
Right.
And that's just me. If you're not happy with it, send it back.
Well, Paul is saying the 2 biggest problems he sees is getting lost in the shipping, which Dirk addressed, right? Like, get it overnight. Yep. If it's something like of that kind of value or whatnot, and not as described, which Dirk also handled by saying, ask a million questions and provide a
ask them like things, as a seller.
And even like Tom was saying, right? Like, take the picture with the knife and the email and the timestamp.
Yeah.
Like, those are all great things.
Those are great things. And as a seller, you can't put every picture that somebody's going to want on an ad. Right, you're limited to so many pictures. You may or may not put a video up. And
a video is huge.
As a buyer, ask to do a quick. I've had so many people ask me to do a video of the knife, and I've done a video here at my studio table, and I've sent it to them, and they're like, "Hey, would you mind doing one outside, like in natural light?" And I'm like, "Sure, give me like 5 minutes, right?" And I walk outside, I do a quick thing just with my phone. Like, it's not hard to do, guys. Doesn't have to be super YouTube video quality. You just do a video with your phone, and then I send it to the person, and they're like, okay, great, thanks. And just don't be afraid to ask anything you want as the buyer. The seller should not argue with you. They should do whatever you want to do. Maybe they say, hey, I'm not home right now because I'm at work. I'll do a video and take more pictures when I get home this afternoon. Totally fine, because some people are still going to the office, right? So that's fine. Be patient with a seller, but ask questions. That's the biggest thing. And if you have a weird feeling, trust your gut.
Yep.
If you have a weird feeling and something's not adding up in your own mind because the picture looks weird, it's blurry, it's, whatever, just walk away. There's another knife down the street that is the same thing you're looking for. So trust your gut.
And that brings me to one more thing is, if you miss the latest drop or that one exclusive knife that you really wanted so bad, don't worry. There'll be more knives coming.
Well, and
always
everybody
something going on,
that
right?
bought it on the drop,
Right.
not all of them are going to keep it.
Nah,
Like
they're always right back on the market.
a week later, 2 weeks later, they'll be on the market again for reasonable price most of the time.
Right. So in
So
other
be
words,
patient.
yeah, wait it out a little bit.
Mhm.
Check it out,
I
But
also
if you
think
see a good opportunity, like don't be afraid to jump on it. Like don't be a cheap ass either. You got to keep it within reason too, because if somebody's selling you something that's hot, if it's a hot commodity, like if you don't buy it, somebody else will.
Mhm.
And then I've been in that position where I'm playing hardball over $50. I'm like, you're almost there, man, but you're not quite there. Like this is what it's worth to me. And he's like, okay, no problem. So I say, no problem. And then I hit him up 2 days later. I'm like, I changed my mind, man. Here, what's your PayPal? He's like, it's sold already, man.
Mhm.
So, like sometimes you gotta you gotta pay to play. Can't be afraid to pay a little to play. Just don't be stupid about it.
And as a buyer, and we're talking about the buying experience right now,
Right.
don't be afraid to make an offer.
Right.
yes.
Just because somebody's asking $500 for this thing,
Right.
I mean, don't offer them 100. Be reasonable,
right.
but maybe they'll take 400. You don't know.
Yeah, it
like,
doesn't hurt to
I'm not going to
ask.
say, right? It doesn't hurt to ask. And
Right.
I've never been upset with somebody giving me an offer.
Right.
And I say, well, no, but how about 450? I'm not going to do 200, but how about 450 instead of 500? And then you
Right.
start the negotiation. And not everybody's like this. I have done it. People have said, hey, can I give you $100 to hold it, and on Friday I'll give you the rest? I say yes, I've done it. Doesn't work for everybody. I mean, that's not going to work for a lot of people. But that's an option as a buyer. Say, hey, can I give you half today and half in 3 days when I get paid?
Right.
That might work, it might not. That's all a relationship that you've built. If it's me, yeah, I'll do that for you.
I
'Cause
think
I've done
we're
it on
I think we're
personal
missing the
basis.
most important thing, and that's buying with something that gives you some sort of protection. And be
A
it
condom.
yes, thank you. Be it PayPal, it's like a knife condom. Be it PayPal or I don't-
Condom.
yes,
That's the problem. I mean, yeah, we haven't talked about the payment form. Do goods and services.
they call
With
it
PayPal?
purchases now.
I'm not
No.
a good. I'm not even going to get
Well-
into this one because I do all the wrong things, but I've never been burned.
I mean,
Right.
that's a thing that, like, if you don't know the person, you're not in groups with them, like you haven't interacted with somebody before, do goods and services, purchases, whatever they call it, and as the seller, I should almost include that price in there.
As
And one
a
big
buyer,
thing, as
if they
Paul just said it, dude. One big thing: no notes in PayPal.
yes,
Do not put notes in PayPal if you do friends and family. Do not write thank you. Do not write the blue one. Do not write,
No,
the
no.
shark thing. Don't write camping tool. Write nothing
yes.
because, yeah, that's a big no-no.
When I
That'll cause
buy,
problems.
if regardless if they say add 3.5% for goods and services or not, I add 3.5% just kind of as a thanks
As
for
a courtesy.
thanks for letting me buy it. Here's to cover your fees, even though you didn't say it.
Yeah, it's a couple of
If-
bucks usually,
yeah,
right?
it's
I mean, let's not be
3.5%.
cheap. Let's not be cheap as buyers.
If you're gonna spend $300, what's another $10 for the 3.5%? You know?
Yep. I agree. But yeah, that's about the only thing that covers you. I mean, friends and family doesn't cover you as the buyer. Sending money with Venmo doesn't cover you as a buyer. Sending money with Cash App doesn't
Nope.
cover you. Sending money with Zelle, which is a new big thing now.
Right.
Well, it's been around for years, but it's becoming more and more thing. That doesn't cover you. There's nothing. Once you send it, it's gone. You can't get it back.
Yeah,
So-
but I think even doing the 3.5% through PayPal when you're doing a knife transaction, I think is still shaky too. To tell you
It
the
is
truth.
because PayPal has policies against that.
Right.
because it's weapons and stuff like
So-
that, right?
So I don't think people should have a false sense of security of the 3.5%.
Yes.
You're more covered though.
Right.
But you are more
You-
covered.
You have some recourse. Friends and family, you have no recourse. There's nothing. You're done.
Right.
Oh yeah, for sure.
PayPal just
And
tells
the-
you you're shit out of luck.
Exactly. And the other thing to do is if you don't know this person on Facebook, because that's, I think, prolifically where we're doing this nowadays, is ask for vouchers in that group. If you're
Right.
in the the Sabenza group or the Norseman group or the whatever, try to get people's opinion of, hey, do you know, I'm doing a deal with, hey, I'm Dirk and I'm doing a deal with Alex. Does anybody got, good comments to say about Alex or me? And then everybody comments up, and then you look through the comments, and I'm like, oh, well, Tom has dealt with Alex a bunch, and I already know Tom. So he says Alex is good, so I'm okay with Alex, right?
I know y'all aren't on Reddit a whole lot, but that's one of
Never.
the best places to buy. The whole like username or email next to the knife with the date. That's the first
Yeah.
time I ever saw it. That's like policy there. You have to do that with the knife to list it.
Oh,
You also,
Yeah.
based on when you get a successful transaction, you get a score for that goes next to your name. It'll show you how many successful trades or sales or purchases you've made in that Reddit.
so kind of like old school eBay feedback.
It's very cool. It makes it super easy. You can see this guy's sold 100 and something knives, and they've all been successful.
Well, then there you go. See, I've never been on Reddit. So I wouldn't
Facebook
even
doesn't
know.
have
Do
that, but you can do the
Facebook
vouchers.
doesn't have that.
You can do the vouchers thing too.
But ask for vouchers. Say, hey, I don't know who you are, Alex. Do you know who are some of your friends or like whatever? And there's nothing
Well,
wrong
I'm
with
not
that.
in this group, but I am in this and this group.
You know what else
And
you
if
can
they
do?
say you're in the other group, then
Right.
okay. So we're in the Sabenza group trying to sell you something, Alex. Hey,
Right.
this is the first time I've ever done anything in this group, but I've done a ton over here in this Medford group.
Right.
So now I'm going to look at the Medford group and
Right.
ask, and everybody's going to say, oh yeah, Alex is awesome, right? Because
Right.
there's always a first time you're buying a knife
right.
in a group. There's a first time you're selling something in a group.
What else
I
you
get
can do
it.
on Facebook? You can click on that person's name, and it shows all their posts in that group. And you can
Yes.
kind of scroll down through it and see if they've ever done any successful transactions in there
Mhm.
too. That makes it super easy
So,
too.
so do your homework as a buyer, I guess is the bottom line.
Yes.
Right.
Buyer beware and all of that, cliche comments, but it's true. Do a little bit of homework, ask a lot of questions.
But I will throw this in there because I've had my own experiences, especially this last year. 2 trades, no cash involved, but high dollar trades. And I got screwed kind of twice. So, and both of those people had literally like 3 pages of references and things like that. I just ended up liking the knife, keeping it, and not complaining about it because I was going to get it redone anyways. But
I've got a way around that too. Use
Yeah.
a third party, which I've done. I've been that middle guy. So I've done it maybe 4 or 5 times where people have sent the knives, like Alex and Tom are trading. They don't know each other. So Alex sends his to me, Tom sends his to me, and then I look at them both, and we start like a little group chat between the 3 of us. Hey, I got both of your knives. Alex, you were looking, Tom is sending you a blue one, right? And it's this. And Alex says, yep, that's it. And Tom, so they agree. And then I do videos on both of them. That's like my fee. And then I ship them off. I do the videos like that day. So I don't keep them very long. I just quickly do some videos if it's something I've never checked out before. And I get to check it out. So it's kind of fun for me. And then I ship it to the other person.
right.
And it's worked out great. So that's an option too, if you know somebody, or if you want to hit me up, I'll do that for you guys. Then if something's amiss, I've got both of the knives. So if Tom's is all screwed up, or it's not what Alex really thought he was getting, I'm certainly not going to send mine to Tom, So then we can deal with it right then, and at least nobody's going to be out.
Dirk the Knife Baron, Paul says, Dirk the Knife Baron.
Hey, I've not gotten screwed, knock on wood, myself, but it happens every day to people. I sent my trade and he never sent me mine, or I got an empty box. There was one just recently. I got an empty box. There's no way it could have been resealed because it's not it came empty.
Mm.
I don't know.
Very
That
well.
kind of stuff happens. And if you use a third party that you trust, or at least one of the people trust, yes, it could still be scammed also, right? And then there is some extra shipping. There's extra shipping costs and there's extra
Right.
time in transit. So there's some negatives with that also.
Yeah, but
Super high-end overnight shipping stuff that doesn't really work well with, but there's options out there is really the point.
Well, and I think that example you last described is perfect too because some people might say, oh, well, that's a lot of work. But then when you're thinking about like anything over $1,000 or $1,500, those types that's not a bad idea for stuff like that,
Yeah, I mean,
So,
it's just an option. I've done it
Yeah.
a few times, and it's helped out because it's exciting for me to get some stuff. For me, I get a few videos out of the deal, and I get to handle something that oftentimes I've never handled before.
right.
Sometimes one of the trades was something that I was super familiar with, so I wasn't going to do video on it because I've already done some, but the other one was cool. And then the other couple times it was two brand new knives I had not seen.
Right.
So
Knife Sergeant says he's had one bad experience where he traded a custom and it ended up being a piece of crap. See, but that doesn't count, Knife Sergeant, because if the knife sucks because it's a bad design, but the knife came as described, then that's okay.
well, yeah, I mean,
That when you're so like if I was to go to like a car lot and say as a salesperson, I'd be like, hey man, this car is really, really awesome. But when you get to like 125, the aerodynamics aren't so great, so it starts to wobble, right? Like you wouldn't say that. You say, hey, drive this car, enjoy it. So clarify, is it because there was issues with the knife, or was it just because it was badly made? Okay, never mind. He explained it. It's a sheepdog knife. Have you guys ever handled sheepdog knives?
No.
no.
Oh my god. Yeah. So the Kaiser sheepdog that everybody has known for the years, that this beloved treasured knife. If you guys ever get the chance to buy a custom, and you'll see a lot of them on Knife Center and a couple other places, they are rhetorically known to be some of the poorest quality customs you can ever buy. And I don't down talk people a lot, but I've never handled one good knife from Chris Conway. So he also actually built a custom knife for a buddy of mine, a Balisong, where he agreed to take a lot of money and build a custom Balisong, but ended up going to a knife store and buying a kit and just kind of modding a kit instead of building him an actual knife. And the kit was like $100 kit or something like that. So I say no to sheepdog knives. Sorry, guys.
I hear you.
He's a con artist, man.
That might be a way to go.
Yeah.
I should buy a kit knife and do a video on putting it together.
Yeah, man. They make those. You can buy them.
I have a knife. I have a watch kit that I want that I need to build, but I don't know. Some people said do a live. I'm like, dude, nobody's gonna want to watch a live video of me putting together a watch for 12 or 14 hours because I'm gonna screw it up. So like I'm gonna have to do it in 27 videos that are half an hour each or something. I don't know. So it just sits in the box. I don't know if I'm even gonna build it. That's too small for me. I don't really have the patience to do something that minute.
Yeah. I mean, and back to our sales talk thing, this is why in the very beginning, when I was buying customs and I first started out, I would only buy customs from like Knife Center or Blade HQ or like shops, because at least even if I paid more money, I knew like I was buying something brand new and I was gonna receive it most likely.
Absolutely agree. I mean, that's going to be your best chance of not getting scammed at all. Yeah, that's your best chance for success is buy it brand new from a maker if it's a custom.
Right.
Buy it brand new off the Knife Center website, the Blade HQ website, the Arizona Custom Knives website. Like, pick a website and just buy it from there.
Yeah.
All the stuff that we're talking about is really just private party secondary sales.
Yeah.
That's where you have potential issues. But don't be scared about buying something online from somebody because 8 out of 10 times it works out perfectly.
Yeah, I will almost go as far as saying 9 out of 10 times. There.
Yeah, I think it's 9 out of 10, especially if you ask the right questions.
Right.
Well, just ask a lot of questions and trust your gut. You kind of know, as I've talked to people, I've backed out of deals before because, we hadn't come to a deal, but I've decided not to buy something because you just get a sense after texting back and forth for a little bit. You kind of get a sense and you're like, yeah, something doesn't feel right. So I'm just going to say no.
Yeah. I've had a few people. I'm like, this guy's kind of sketchy. Better not.
Yeah. So just trust your gut. Ask a lot of questions. That's my 2 cents of advice.
Yeah. Sweet, guys. I think this was a pretty good episode. What do you guys think?
Absolutely. This was a good one.
I think so.
Well, I hope Gerald's okay. I know he didn't make it, so but I'm sure he was with us in spirit. It was nice to see the Knife Sergeant James Moore is up in the chat. And of course our ever so most faithful follower Paul, which by the way I'm gonna announce is our guest in a couple weeks.
Hell yeah.
For our next episode. Paul has been
Nice.
a faithful follower since literally episode probably 2 or 3.
And
So,
James is always in there too.
Agreed.
Yes, he is.
Yep.
Yes,
So
he is.
and to James's comment here about more comfortable buying and selling than trading, yes, there's a little more risk and questionable stuff with trading, but I've done a lot of trade deals that work out fine.
Both of those
And
dudes are our most active, as well as Ethan, like you just said.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Alex,
Ethan too.
in our Sharp Talk Discord, and that is in the bio of our Instagram. If you guys want to join.
And man, it was cool to see.
So I guess
the
I should
Super
join that
Steel
because I didn't know
Steve,
about
too.
that.
Yeah, it was nice having Steve in here. It's been a minute.
The Super Steel Steve.
Let's do it.
Cool.
All right, boys.
Thanks
All right.
everyone for watching. We greatly appreciate your time and your interaction. It helps to keep things going.
So,
Yeah, we had 14 people right now. Pretty cool.
So we'll see y'all. Is it going to be the first Sunday of June then?
Yeah, man. Couple weeks.
That will be the
Yep.
6th. So see you guys on the 6th at 6.
All right.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
See ya. Perfect.